Developed countries definitely need to cut more emissions than developing countries. When developed countries were developing, they produced so many carbon emissions. Now the developing countries are just starting to build their economies. Why should we cut more emissions than rich countries? It's fair that developing countries cut less than developed ones.
China is facing difficulties in economic development while cutting emissions. But economic development is the most important thing for China. China doesn't need to care about the pressure to cut emissions, but that doesn't mean China doesn't need to care about emission cuts at all. The country should now consider the future. China must create some green energy products in every sector, such as low-energy consumption cars.
Western countries have been developed longer than China. During their years of developing, they produced more carbon emissions than China. Everyone knows that. And a developed country should do more because there is a large population in China. China can do more on the amount of emissions it cuts and find a balance with economic development.
China must work on energy saving and emission reduction. But as a developing country, China needs time to complete the task. Economic development is needed, and emission reduction is necessary too. I think China needs to pay more attention to climate change. Emission cuts are the most important task, because once the climate changes for the worse, we will have a big problem. But we can develop our economy gradually, and we have time. Developed and developing countries should share the responsibility on cutting emissions.